Yokoso people to this AWS tutorial again. So apparently I've been working on my Japanese. So Yokoso equals welcome. So let's begin. In last tutorial we basically discussed EBS, that was elastic block storage. So we have NAS, that is network attached storage, and we have instance storage. So network attached storage is basically attached to your EC2 instance over a network, and next is instance storage, which is provided to you as part of your server. So that was about EBS, and now we will be moving to two other storage modes, which are RDS and DynamoDB. So RDS is basically your relational database service. So this relation database service is apparently if you want to connect to your relational DB, we have various relational DB flavors available. We have Oracle, we have My MySQL, and then we have Microsoft SQL Server, and many more. So if you want to persist your data in relational database store, then we can use or we can leverage the power of RDS. So there are two ways in which we can use RDS or we can use relational databases. So first of all, with RDS, we can directly have Oracle, MySQL, or Microsoft SQL Server, any of this configured. And this is the first way we can directly use RDS, and we can have the services created for us and we can use those services directly, or we can launch our own server and configure relational DB on that. Okay, so now two ways are there. Either we can use RDS with any of the relational DBs available, or we can launch our own server and configure relational DB on that. So again, if you will configure your own server, you will require more manpower. So, and this is not in case of RDS. So overhead is very less if you'll use RDS. So this is like one of the differences in that, and there are two ways. And in this tutorial, we will basically be just touching upon how to use RDS or how to create a RDS, and how to create a table in DynamoDB. And the other thing which we will discuss is DynamoDB. So DynamoDB is a NoSQL data store. So NoSQL basically means not only SQL. So it is not bound to any schema. So we will be creating a simple table using DynamoDB. So these are two services. So again, I would like to highlight that we will just be touching these services, and because we will be going through these services through coding, that we'll be discussing in subsequent sessions. So this session will be a really smaller one, wherein we'll be creating one RDS service, and then we'll be creating a one table using DynamoDB. So again, to highlight the differences, RDS is relational database service wherein you can configure your data if you want to persist the data onto relational DB, and if you want a NoSQL data store, then you can go for DynamoDB. Okay, so let's get started. Let's log on aws.amazon.com/console, sign in. Okay, now we will have to fill in the password, sign in. So this is our landing page, and if you want to go to data store under database, you can see we have RDS available and we also have DynamoDB. So first of all, let's click on RDS. Okay, so if we'll go to instances on the left hand side, click there. Right now we don't have any RDS instances running, so just click launch DB instance, and here you go. So we have various services available here. We have Amazon Aurora, we have MySQL, we have MariaDB, then we have PostgreSQL, we also have Oracle, and we also have Microsoft SQL Server. So for this session we will be configuring MySQL RDS. So I've clicked MySQL and say select. Okay, so these are some other things which are available. So this is for mainly MySQL for production environments, and for a testing purpose we will be using this MySQL for dev and test. So these Amazon Aurora and MySQL, if you'll see, they are for production environment, but we don't need that kind of configuration, so we will be just taking to dev and test. Just select MySQL under dev and test, and next step, say next step. So these are the other details. So you can configure the instance. We will be just sticking to t2.micro, 1 CPU and 1 GB RAM. Just and allocated storage is 5 GB. So MySQL instance will be up and running with 5 GB of storage. And you can give your database identifier. So if you see, specify a name that is unique for all DB instances owned by your AWS account. So we need to give a unique DB instance identifier. You can give it. I'm giving it as myCBA, MySQL, or myCBA SQL. Username you need to configure. I'll just set it as CBA, and then you have to configure password. Okay, once you are done with these details, click next step. So now this is it. So this is virtual private cloud. These configurations are okay. You can give a database name. I am giving as CBADB. The port will be 3306 only. This is the default port for MySQL, and all the other settings we can just leave it as it is, and we can say launch DB instance. So it is launching our DB instance. So our database is created. Let's see our DB instance. So the status is creating as of now. Once the DB gets created, we will also be allocated an endpoint, and with that endpoint, we will be able to connect to our RDS. And you can see all the other details from the details panel. You can see the DB name which we gave. The username is also configured, and you also know the password that you set for your MySQL. Let's refresh it once. So it's still creating it. So this is basically, so by the time it is coming up again, I'd like to highlight. So for this video tutorial, we will just be showing this how to create a MySQL instance and how to create basically a simple table using DynamoDB. And in the next subsequent sessions, we will be most probably be using Java API, wherein we will try to connect the MySQL DB which we have created here. So we will try to connect uh, or try to show you how to connect to MySQL DB, and we will also try to put in some records after creating table and pull the records. And similarly, we will also be showing a configuration wherein we will be creating a DynamoDB table using Java code, and we will be creating a table. We'll be putting some records and fetching some records. So this all practice exercise is due, and it will be coming up in subsequent sessions. So this is like just to give you a look and feel of this RDS and DynamoDB. So it's taking some time now. Okay, so it's taking some time now. So what I'll do is I'll just pause the video for some time and connect the video session again once the server is once our MySQL is up and running and we have an endpoint available.